Hello and welcome to how I play my level 95 Shadowknight. So we're going to talk about spells, we're going to talk about how I have my hotbars and my multi-bind set up, we're going to talk about some other buttons, we're going to go over gear, we're going to talk about that, we're talk about weapons, and stuff like that. This is my current buffed stats. I'll show my unbuffed stats, and I'll go over everything in as much detail as I possibly can. Now, I play my character with, boxes, right? I have a shaman, a beast lord, a mage, a bard, and a wizard in my group. So I have a bit of help to do things, right? It's not just this character solo. So there's a lot, more to it than that. So they work as a group. So there's going to be gameplay in a follow-up video to the final after the wizard video, showing how I play them together. They're just going to be me explaining how I set the character up in this video. This video kind of carries off on the level 90 and 85 videos for the Shadowknight, kind of how that's all works out and stuff like that. So first things first, let's talk about spells. So my first spell, and probably one of the more important spells, Provocation of power, provocation, I don't know, of power, right? For power, right? This is one of the more important lines. This allows us to taunt the target for, what is this, 3200, and then it gives us taunt or hate over time with another 3200 every 6 seconds for 30 seconds. It also can trigger the recourse, which increases our armor class by 116. So it's a really nice spell. Later on in our life, when we get to get some focus abilities, improve the demand for power will focus this ability and lower the cast time, and it eventually becomes instant cast. So it's really nice. Next up, I have a Spear of Sholoth. This is a direct damage near instant cast. It's a 0.16 cast time. Don't even really see the bar when you're doing it. Does 7,200 damage, and it's got a little bit of a recast time. Let's see here, 24 seconds. So it really works well with the multi-bind that I have set up right now. Next up, we have Quorum's Bite. This is a group mana tap, if you will. Well, it's mana life tap. It's a really nice spell. It does a nice little, it's a pretty quick cast. It's a minute recast. It will give the group mana and health back. So it's just a nice little added that you can do as a Shadowknight to kind of do a little bit more for your group. And then we have, let's see, 3 life taps. So these are the current level life taps. They're all level 95, because that is when they get updated. I don't believe there is one lower than this. I think the bite one is the only one that's at 91. But each of these do, just drain life, right? So this one here, Dire Allegation, 5,800 life tap. Oh, well. Touch of Urush, I guess the one that wants to close here, is a 3,000 life tap. Pretty nice. These are 0.8 second cast times, pretty much unresistible by most mobs you're fighting. And then Touch of the Bigorn is a little bit different. This one will give us more health when we use it, right? So where's my target here? Go like that. And Touch of Bigorn. So we are at 137,000 hit points. Let's get rid of it. There we go. 130. So it's about let's call it 2,000. Just round it up. 2,000 hit points buff for just casting that spell. Now I cast it on cooldown, so I pretty much always have the buff, but it lasts for 13 minutes. The buff, and it will heal us for 2,200. So it was pretty nice. Life taps here. I don't feel like I need more at the moment, but maybe later on we might want to add one more. I'm already at the point where, like, unless I have, I'm focused by the Bard with, I think, quick time or whatever it is to make this casting time faster, I don't really get to all of them in the multi-bind. Then I have Terror of Desalania. This is our current level terror spell. We get one of these every 5 levels. It is just a instant cast spell to pull hate. It's really nice. Then we have 2 dot spells I keep memorized. I don't use them a lot. Now, I used them in one of the videos because I was pretty much soloing. And moving forward in the Hobbs and Friends series, I'm probably going to be using these a little bit more because I'm going to be kind of breaking up how I do some of the videos so that he's a little bit more solo. So I don't have to deal with moving the boxes around during the videos. But these are pretty nice life taps. I'm not life taps. Damage over times, 2,900 damage and 2,000 damage over a minute, over 36 seconds. So these are, I think, instant cast, right? Yeah, instant cast. No recast time, so I don't have, if they had a recast time, I'd probably put them in the multi-bind. But you can see here, they do significant damage when they crit. 21,000 damage there. So it's a nice little extra damage that we can put out as a Shadowknight to kind of get our numbers up and stuff like that. Then we have Abhorrence. This is our current level AoE taunt. Now, this is a nice spell because, like, you see all these, I have like every combat dummy here. I can just cast this and you can see I pretty much hit every single one of them. So if I'm in a situation where I'm fighting a lot of mobs and I need them all on me, it's boom, I hit that. Now we have 2 AAs that are going to carry on with that same thing, but we'll talk about those when we get to the abilities. Next up, I have Stoic Stance. This is our current level stance. This is a pretty important spell for all the tanks. The Paladin has the exact same one. Warriors do not get the spell, but the Priest class do get a version they can cast onto the Warrior. At least that's what I think. I haven't touched my Warrior in like 4 years, so I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but I'm fairly certain that's how that goes. But for the Shadow Knight, we have this. It gives us 10,000 hit points. I think I already have it on. Yeah, I already have it on, so I'm at 137,000 right now. And it decays over time, but I cast it enough that it's pretty much always there. Next up, we have Shalathian Skin, which is a kind of damage reduction spell with charges. It's right here. So it just, it's what is that? 47 charges, 10-minute cast time. So every time I get hit, it takes a little bit of the impact out of that hit. So it's pretty nice for like if you're taking a lot of stuff, because you're taking a little less damage per hit. Now spell wise, that's my everyday carry. That's all I use, right? Now we do have a pet minion of Sholoth, which I already have summoned right here, and it's a current level pet. He does have a pet haste buff, Gift of Urash. That is another one I just, keep it on. Like I die, I resummon the pet, I rebuff him, and I forget about it. He dies a lot. He's not the best pet, right? He is not a mage pet. He's not a necro pet. He's not a shaman pet. He's level 85, and now he's good for doing things. He'll off tank something, right? If I had a cleric in the group, he would probably do even better, because with the cleric, you got a lot more AoE healing and stuff like that, and the shaman that I use just does not have that yet until in the 100 plus. So once that kind of gets there, it'll be, he might live a little longer, but without significant splash healing to kind of take care of him, he doesn't survive very long, and especially with these mobs that summon and stuff like that. It gets kind of crazy. All right, so that's all the spells I use. Now, I feel like this is my best setup that I got going. I could maybe use another life tap. Now, I would just switch out Terror if I needed it. If I needed more healing, but truly, I don't need it at the moment. Nothing that I fight at the moment is a challenge at all. The challenge I face is getting auto follow on these boxes to get from point A to point B, and that can be from here to here. That's the biggest challenge. So let's talk about hotbars and stuff like that. So I have a hide corpse macro, same one it's been since probably level 50. It hides all the NPC corpses. I don't hide my character corpses, so I can actually move them around without having to unhide them. Just saves me time. Now I do DOA 2, which is forage, so I pretty much forage on cooldown just because it is kind of nice. Like sometimes if you get the right things, like I'm getting vegetables and stuff. I don't think I've put any points into it since I put a point into it. Yeah, I only got like 5 points into it, so you can get this pretty high. Now it just helps later on when you want to do some trade skill stuff. Next up, I just have a button for snaring. I don't snare anything anymore unless it starts to run, but typically when I have all 6 characters going, mobs are dying in 2-3 seconds. Nothing lasts long enough to even consider wasting time to snare it because it's not even going to turn to run. So I have it there just in case, because I do run off and solo in like some instances. Some of the last few videos I just run off, I leave the boxes somewhere and I go and do the quest just because it's easier than moving them. So now for my multi-bind assist key, so like all my characters use 4 and 5 as their multi-bind buttons. Now if you don't know what multi-bind is, you are missing out, because it is one of the coolest things about the Everquest client is you can set a key to be a number, right? So 1 through 0, right? On your hotbar, right? But you can also have an alternate key for that same button, right? So you have like 1 through 2 here, and you can have another bar that's the same thing, right? You see, all my buttons are bound to 4, 4 and 5 exactly, right? So this is all built into the client. You just can go in here and configure all the buttons to be 4 or 5 or 1 or 2, whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter. I just picked 4 and 5 because I wanted 3 buttons here for whatever I want. That's literally the only reason. And you set it up like that. It's pretty basic. I have a video on it, and you can then put all the stuff on the same hotbars, right? So this hotbar is all 4s and 5s. So it's just every time I hit 4, any of these buttons will activate. If I hit 5, same thing, right? They're all the same. The first button I have is attack on, obviously, to turn attack on, and pet attack. So my pet works, and pet swarm. So my swarm pet that is always causing a nuisance for me to attack whatever I'm attacking. So these 2 buttons are the exact same. I hit 4 or 5, they'll do that. So it's pretty basic. But then I go into taunt. This is the basic Everquest taunt you get at level, I think, 1. So it's just there. I taunt on cooldown. Doesn't matter in my situation. Like if you're playing a single character and you're on a TLP, obviously you're not going to multi-bind taunt, right? You're going to want to save that for situations where you need to. I don't need to. This is how I play my characters, and I'm showing how I do it. I have no desire to taunt off anybody else. I pull aggro, and I have AoE taunt buttons to AoE taunt everything on me. So I do it on cooldown. That guarantees that I will always pull aggro from whatever I'm fighting, right? I do have a mage and a beast lord. Their pets taunt. I have that on so that I can take damage off me if I need to, and kind of save me a few hits here and there. And the pets will take that hit, and then I can taunt it right back, right? So it works out pretty well the way I play. And then we have renouncement. Renouncement is our current level. I don't even know what you would call this. It's kind of like it's just like the skin spell. It absorbs a little bit of damage from the next 2 melee hits, right? So it's really nice. It eventually becomes very important to our focus ability right here, Night Synergy. The level that it actually triggers off of is Repel and Beyond at 105. But this is our synergy spell, which will give us even more of absorption and other stuff there. So it's it's very important to be using it pretty much on cooldown. In all honesty, I don't see why you would want to save it at all, unless you're in like a raid situation or something like that, where you're probably not going to be multi-binding all your buttons together like this, though I could be wrong. Then I do all my spells, right? So these all get activated. I'll show an example of what happens when I'm just pressing 4 here in a minute. But provoke, evasion of power, spear, bite, terror, and then 3 life taps in order. And then I have some AAs down here. So I have Chattering Bones, which is our current level swarm pet. Summons a little skeleton. He's holding the epic. He's pretty cool looking, and he does melee damage. He can off tank. He can take that swarm pet can tank better than the summon pet. And Vicious Bite of Chaos, which is just another direct damage spell. 1600 damage, and gives everybody in the group this recourse, which heals them for 1600 health and 500 mana. Kind of the same as Korum's Bite, but it's just extra. So that's more health and mana going out to the group, which is good. Then we have Ageless Enmity. This is just a taunt. I taunt everything on cooldown. It's a 7-minute reuse. I've never been in a situation with any of these characters where I've been like, damn, I wish I had a taunt right now. Never, not once. I do it on cooldown just to make sure that whatever I'm fighting stays on me. My mage and wizard do really big nukes, and if they pull aggro, they're dead. Like there's no joke about it, right? My shaman, if you've watched the setup on how I do it, I don't have macros to heal anybody but the tank. The only way everybody gets healed is splash healing, and that's just how I play, and it works fairly well for me. Projection of Doom is a ability that'll summon a mob. I believe it's a specter, and it will generate hate by taunting everything in the general area. It's pretty nice. I do it on cooldown just so that I always have aggro. That's kind of the goal, right? I don't care about my damage. I care about being able to tank everything. Now I do use a two-hander, which is because I can tank everything with a two-hander. I can tank 20 House of Thule mobs with a two-hander, no problem. It's maybe later on we'll go to sword and board, but I just don't see it right now. Next up, I have Gouging Blade. So this is just an AA or a discipline that will strike my target. I don't know how much damage it does. I've never even looked. We'll take a look at it here in a second. Then we have Undivided Acrimony. This is another taunt, and then this will what is this? So this will give the target 18 seconds of undivided attention to attack me, and I guess it drains their life and causes everybody else to generate less hatred. So it's kind of a nice little spell. It's a 10-minute reuse. I use it on cooldown because why not, right? That's just how I play. Next up, we have Crimson Blade. Now, when I first got this ability, I thought it was a carry-on to Gouging Blade, but it's different. It is strikes your target with 3 powerful attacks, places you in a rage, which will increase your spell and melee damage. So it's kind of it's almost like a burn ability, but I'm using it on cooldown. I don't really care, but it's on a timer 12, which we do not have any other timer 12 spells before this. That's why I thought, Crimson Blade, Gouging Blade, I figured they were the same thing. But they are not. So it seems like it just gives us a burst of energy and does some extra spell and melee damage. So it's kind of nice. 20-minute reuse, worth giving it a shot, right? I'm gonna try it out until 100. And then see if it carries on, right? This spell line might die. I don't know. But we'll see how that goes there. Now, that is the multibind. That is all the buttons I have in the multibind. Lesson Devout is not in that button. All these buttons here are not bound. Now, for the most part, this works perfectly flawless for me. Every once in a while, there's a snag in certain things, but for the most part, I have not had any issues. After the multi-bind, I do have 6, so this is my AoE taunt button. It does Explosion of Hatred and Explosion of Spite, which are 2 point-blank AoE taunts. We can go right here and click this. The way it works is they just pretty much go off constantly, right? Like, hit it once, come on. I guess I gotta do, each one activates differently, right? There we go. Each activation, come on. I don't know why this one's not clicking. Why is this explosion? Did I have the right number in there? 822, alt act, yeah. I don't know why that one's not going. Here, let's do pause 1. That's weird. I've never noticed that before. It's still not doing anything. Here, let's do this one. Pause 1. Kill abhorrence? Yeah. Extremely weird. I could have swore that worked before, but who knows why. Are these like on the same damn timer or something? No, they're on different timers. 822. 749. Yeah, that is that's baffling to me. It doesn't matter. They're there. I mainly click them half the time anyway. But it's you know, it's there. AoE taunts. Burn. This is our current burn that I'm using. This is Spire of the Reavers, Projection of Doom, Forceful Rejuvenation. Now, we don't have a lot right now. Now, I say that, but we do have Visage of Death, which is a burn. We have Harm Touch, Leech Touch. These are all, you know, good abilities, but right now I'm just using Spire for the most part. And Spire, when activated, increases your combat prowess for a minute. Let's see here. Increases my damage dealt by crits, crit damage, direct damage, spells. It just makes us like almost godlike. And that's saying something, because the Shadowknight is already probably the most godlike class in the game. It is obscene how strong this class is. And then we click our breastplate, which we'll see life tap the 4 nearby hated enemies for 7,500 every 5 seconds. Pretty much, I can't die when I click that for, you know, for all intents and purposes when I click the breastplate. And then Projection of Doom just is that we have it in the multi-bind. It just creates that specter that taunt things. And then Forceful Rejuvenation will reset spellcast timers if we have anything, except for Twin Cast. But I don't believe we get Twin Cast, so I'm not sure why it's mentioned there. But it will just reset any timers that are currently down. See, we had Death's Effigy here. This just is our Feign Death. It gives us a 100% chance. Then my pull ability, I use numpad 1, so I use my mouse to pull. So I just like, you know, I'm like running around like pull, you know, I cast it moving with my mouse. Pretty simple. I do have a dots macro because numpad 4 does dots on my shaman. And you know, like if I'm not clicking buttons, you know, like I'm gonna get it off, right? There's 1 and 2, you know, so there we go. Might even be yeah, so like the Beast Lord does dots too at the same time. I don't know why the shaman didn't cast his. Well, he did something, but I don't know what. Does he even have a target? He does have a target. I don't know, must have got resisted. Yeah. Anyway. Stupid pet. Back off. Stop back. Alright, so it's just, you know, there for convenience, more or less. Then I have Death Piece, which is our current level Feign Death that is not Death's Effigy. It's instant cast, but it's not 100%. And it does not, like, I feel like Death's Effigy, even if you're getting spell casted on, it's still gonna work, whereas Death Piece does not. I don't know, it's what it is. I don't use it as much as you'd think, but I use it for when I'm trying to do cheesy things like skip content. Cloak of Shadows, this is our instacast invisibility. Now, if you remember back to like Kunark, there's a Circuit of Shadows that is the same thing. They just turned it into an AA versus an item because the item no longer dropped anymore. And then self buff, I cast 11 and 12 on myself. Well, I don't have to target myself because they're self casting, so it's just cast that Stoic Stance, and then it does skin. Now I have this on all my characters, numpad 7. Everybody's doing something on numpad 7, like buff me in some way. All right, and then Hates Attraction. This is a neat ability. I don't use it very much, but it will, you know, if you've ever played Mortal Kombat, it's like the Scorpion, get over here kind of thing. It will yank a mob to you. It's kind of cool if you want to position something differently. But it can, I've had some issues here and there, but I don't use it too much. That's all that. And then, like, I have all these right here. I manually cast Harm Touch whenever I feel like I need it. 100k nuke, 28k damage over time. Leech Touch, same thing, was a 25,000 heal. Pretty nice. If you ask me, pretty nice indeed. It doesn't change in the next level, except the refresh time. So, you know, it's pretty nice. I like if I'm getting, you know, beat down pretty hard, I'll leech tap just to get my health back. And then we got what's this one at 95? We got this one, Thought Leech, which is kind of the same as Leech Touch, but it does mana, so it's kind of nice. It does what 15,000 damage for 21,000 mana, so it's pretty cool. I like it doesn't say it does the group, so I like, as you know, but I'm never really low on mana. Like I feel like I'm chain casting, but I'm never low on mana. Now that could be just, you know, my group makeup and how I have it set up, but mana is always pretty good for me, so it's not a big deal. Then we have Visage of Death. I love this ability. Now, this ability turns us into like a zombie, right? And increases our melee damage by 245% for a minute. And holy crap, you become literally like a DPS class on steroids, because you just kill everything. Like if you have a lot of mobs in camp and you just pop this, plus you know some of the other stuff, you're gonna be able to just have no problem taking out the mobs. Then we have a Shield Flash. This is another one we got at 95. This one pretty much allows our shield to block everything. Now I don't really use a shield, so I don't think it actually does anything for me. But it is allows you to block all incoming attacks for 6 seconds. So if you have a shield on, that is a fantastic ability to have. And then the rest is the stuff we covered in the burn. Then we have the AoE taunts just down here. I like to manually click things. I don't know. I'm just how I am. Harm Shield. We just gives our invulnerability ability here. Sadly, I never click this, but I should. I never click it, but I should. And it just pretty much prevents death. And I always just take the death most of the time. Disable Weapon Stance. So Weapon Stance is kind of an interesting thing. Now, let me see. We got 200 proficiency there. Where's Weapon Stance? So, since I'm using a two-hander, I'm getting extra damage through weapon stances because it's enabled, right? So this, where is it here? Increases your damage you deal with two-handed weapons while reducing your chance to dodge and parry, as well as your armor class, right? So I'm losing a lot of stats by using a two-hander, right? So let's take a look at my AC. 2836. If I go to a shield, 3320, right? And I gain more hit points, and I become probably unhittable. But I don't have the problem with a two-hander where I'm getting absolutely destroyed. When I played my paladin playthrough with the two-hander, he was like iffy at times, but I am not having any of those issues with the two-hander on the Shadowknight. I chalk it up to the life taps just being able to pull me back, because it's not the shaman healing, I'll tell you that. But you can see here the buff changes from defensive to two-handed, you know, depending on what you're in. Then when you have the shield on, it increases your chance to block attacks by 10%, gives you more procs, protection against 12% incoming damage. You know, it's pretty nice if you're using a shield and stuff like that, but I don't. Now, I can disable it entirely, and I don't have this negative effect, but I don't get bonus damage. Now, if I'm in a situation where I would want to do that, you know, it's possible. I have not gotten to that point where I'm like, you know what, I want the two-handed damage, but I don't want the bonus damage. You know, I want my normal tanking abilities. Like, let's disable it real quick, right? So if I disable it, I go up to 3100 AC with a two-hander. You know, it is what it is. So you get a little bit more AC. I think it also stops like combat agility or stability from working. Maybe at later levels. Maybe there's something else that does that too. But you know, it's interesting. And then we have the pet buffs here. No, we're up here. Scourge Skin. Now, this is a pretty interesting ability. This gives us a pretty large damage shield that stacks with our all the other damage shields for 100 hits. Looks to be 450 points. Not a whole lot, right? Like I mean, I have 6,000 point damage shield right now from like external buffs. So it's just not a whole lot, but you know, every little bit counts, right? So then we have Voice of Thule. I have a macro here to cast it on me, so X target 20. I'm always set as the tank, X target 20, so just click that. And House Thule increases our aggro, or whoever we target, right, by 20% for 10 minutes. In contrast, like a paladin gets everybody generates less aggro, and it's a group buff for 10 minutes. So it's kind of an interesting, you know, duality between the two classes there. But I always forget to redo it. It's a 17 minutes with all the, you know, extra buffs and stuff from focus items, but I always forget to redo it. And I'm usually buff capped. I might not be buff capped now, but I usually get buff capped pretty quick, especially with like all the little buffs that go out when you're doing combat. Let's see here. Mod rods. I have a mage, so I constantly have mod rods. I don't ever use them because I'm never at low on mana unless I die, and that's a whole different story. Then we have a familiar. I have what is this? I think this is the Ring of Scale familiar collector's edition thing, right? It just gives me an extra damage shield, nothing too fancy on that one. And then finally, Dark Lord's Unity Asia. This is the health version. This Beza is the mana version. We don't get that till level 100 though. And it's just casts all our self buffs that are HP buff driven, right? So like anything that drains mana or health or something like that. Which, I mean, you can see how many buffs it's casting here. This saves us a damn lot of time. Like, I would have to have a whole separate spell set just for buffs to do that. But you can see this completely buffs me up here. And they're all, you know, different things, right? So it's nice. That's all the abilities, how I do the hotbar. So let's actually show how I do my multibind, right? I'm gonna disable key maps and ISBoxer. ISBoxer is what I use to multi-box, just because it gives me a nice window. In all honesty, the key repetition is really good, but I could probably get away with all tabbing or true boxing these. But this gives me multibind gives you more actions per minute than anything else. Now I'm gonna press 4, and that's all I'm pressing. I'm gonna press it fairly quickly. So I'm pressing 4 for vocation power. You can see here all my abilities are starting to trigger. Like all the disciplines triggered, everything's going, right? Every time I press the button, I get a new ability and a new spell. Now, the way the multi-bind works, like provocation of power, that is it's gonna get cast a lot, and I'm okay with it right now. I'm gonna probably take it out of my multi-bind soon and try to get another ability in there. I just don't know what, but you can see here we've pretty much hit all the life taps and stuff like that, and then we should be able to hit this last one here. Maybe not. There we go, we got it that time. So it just takes a few cycles through the thing to get it. Now, like, I like the buff this gives, and then later on this buff is, real important, right? We want to keep this up at all times, and having the multi-bind is beneficial because it keeps it up at all times. Now, the recast time on it's a little quick, so that's, the only downside. But when I'm multi-boxing and I got 6 characters, I don't want to deal with the 30-second timer buff. If I can just get away with doing this. So this whole time I've only been pushing 4, nothing else, and you can see how easy it is to play. You can see we're 5% mana down, but if we stop attacking, we'll get all our mana back instantly. See how fast it goes there. Let's stop you, back you off. Alright, so that's like fully buffed. If we look at damage, right, smashing, I'm hitting for 7, 11,000, 5,000. I'm hitting pretty hard with the two-hander. I'm doing a lot of damage, and I like that. It kind of goes with, how I'm doing everything and getting things done quickly. Now, I know I said earlier I don't care about my damage, but it's... when you're multi-boxing, typically your tank is doing the most damage no matter what. And it is true for like how I'm playing right now. Like, I'm doing the most damage, so I need to have enough damage that I can get. Because I don't move my bard into melee range half the time. I don't move the beast lord into melee range half the time. So things like that, it's just, if I can get a little extra damage out of the Shadowknight, I might as well take it. Now, let's see here. Let's talk about gear. And so I had a comment on one of the videos, like, the other person did not, have nearly as much hit points as I have. Now, I'm buffed. I'm extremely buffed. So let's get rid of all my buffs. Let's just click them all off here. I have cleric buffs. I have shaman buffs. I have beast lord buffs. I have everything. And depending on if I AFK overnight, I have... the level 125 buffs, or if I just buff myself, I have level 120 buffs, unless I switch characters to get my level 125s to buff them. Alright, so that's all my buffs. Let's take off my mount too. Let's take everything off. Alright, so completely unbuffed. Let's get rid of this over here. Alright, completely unbuffed, I'm at 80,000 hit points, alright? 80,000 hit points, 2,700 AC, right? So you can see, like, buffs add a lot to it. Significant amount of that to it. Now, I do run a shaman, right? So, like, the shaman, if I go over here, he has an aura pack of the wolf here that gives everybody in the group an extra 3,800 health, right? So that's, boom, you want that, right? Oh, I clicked it off, so I don't know if it's gonna work. Remove aura. There we go. So I got that. So now I'm at 82,000, right? And as I add more and more buffs, I get more and more things, right? So let's click that off again. And let's just do Dark Lord's Unity, which is our just self-buff buffs, right? Nothing else. So that puts us at 81,000 hit points, a little bit more AC there, but not too much. So you can kind of see, like, self-buff, we don't gain a whole lot. Now, I could get, the buffs from these guys, but I'm not even going to do that right now. But you can kind of see, like, I'm buffed in all the videos. I have either, external buffs from Guild Lobby or my own characters buffing me. As you can see, like, here, let me do this. Oh, did I? All right, donate/Q. All right, so like as I said, I have pretty much a 120 of every single class, plus I have 125s on all these accounts. So I can get buffs like if I need to, but it just makes things easier, especially when making videos. Now, gear-wise, I am using the Broken Mirror gear for every single slot. This is the level 95 version of it with whatever augs I've collected along the way. Here you can see this is the Crypt Hunter gear, so it's about 2600 HP. Now if we compare this to, like, say, my Bard, she's wearing, I would think this is the expansion after, this is the Call of Forsaken, I think. Let's see here. This is Reign of Fear gear. You can see here it's 2300, 2600. It's about the same. Like all due respect, though. If we look at my wizard here, he's wearing the Veil of Valeris tier 4 gear, and that's 2000. So you can see there's a lot. There's 600 HP over in every slot over some of these on the characters, but this is the best gear you can wear from 75 to 105, like hands down. There's nothing better except for raid gear in the respective eras, but it is what it is. Like it's not too hard to get. You can get it pretty easy. Now my weapon is the standard weapon you buy from the TBM guide. Now this gives like 4,000 hit points. Now it's kind of crazy. I had raid weapons. Like they were like 50 damage or less than this. So at the same time, I do also have the Armsman Axe, same thing from TBM with the shield here. So they're all about the same, just give or take. The nice thing about some of these later ones is that they kind of combined all the slots and stuff like that, so you kind of get the type. Now you don't get a type 7 on here, but you get some other stuff. But you get type 5s. Now the kind of that's where I'm getting a lot of stats from, these type 5s. I'm using dexterity type 5s on all my slots, which with all the heroic stamina that I'm getting from this, just the 8 there, I got like 300 heroic stamina, 589 heroic dexterity. That's giving me a lot of hit points too, and stuff like that. So definitely, it's the best, right? You can see our heroic mods are pretty high on the list here. Obviously not maxed, but pretty high on that, right? But this is what I use. This is I know I get asked what weapon I'm using, right? I'm just using whatever ornamentation I felt like using at the time. So this is the Azure Scale Wrought Greatsword ornamentation from pre-ordering the Outer Brood. In fact, all my characters are using those ornamentations on all their stuff, except for his shield. But it is it's probably one of the cooler looking ones if you look into it really close here. Turn off the screen. I mean, it's hard to zoom in on it, right? But I think it looks really nice compared to some of these other weapons. Compared to the standard TBM thing, it looks terrible, right? That's so much better. But that's the gear. I'm focused for AC, heroic dexterity, and heroic stamina last, I suppose. It seems to work. We do have a power source. This is from the tower. This is the level 95 tower power source. It's pretty good. Power sources, I don't think are a thing until a little bit longer. I know you can get an 85 power source, but it's pretty terrible. But I think in the Buried Seas when they added those, so it's before then it's not that great. But you can see here it's giving me heroic stamina and heroic dexterity, so that's kind of what I like. It's also heroic agility is pretty nice. Also, to if you mouse over these things, right? I think it's right here. Right here. Yeah, influences your how to avoid incoming damage, your AC. Like, I do heroic agility on my paladin, and that seems to work out really well for him. I'm doing heroic dexterity on this guy just because it helps his chance to hit. And I saw that, like, there's one of these, like, I think it's procs or something like that. And we have a lot of procs that do life taps. I believe that's what it was. It doesn't say anything about it, but I think that's what it was. Let's see here. Is there anything else? Because this video is quite long at this point. Not really. I don't see anything else that I would cover that I haven't really already covered. Well, I guess these right here. I guess I forgot these. So disciplines I do use are let's see here, the mantle and the carapace from the current level. These are just like mini defensive abilities. What everything else we talked about. So these are just, I click them. I still use leech touch discipline and deflection discipline. I don't think I can use that one because I don't have a shield. Yeah, I don't use a shield. So if I was tanking with a shield, I would need, I would be able to use that. But for the most part, this is what I do. Just click those whenever I feel like I need them. But for the most part, that is how I play my level 95 Shadowknight. I feel like this is by far one of the best tanks in the game. I feel like at this point, compared to when I did the Paladin playthrough, he's Shadowknight's blowing the Paladin away. Now, there could be some other, factors in that like, I learned more abilities. I learned new things, along the way of making the Paladin, and then playing the Shadowknight, I already know all the stuff. When I played my very first Shadowknight to 120, I did not have the same experience. I'll say that, right? It was definitely much harder, right? Like, yeah, Yurdi right here was Yurd on Bristlebane before I moved it here. There is my, other character, right? So I've done it before. I just, I don't really remember a lot of it, and I did not have the same experience I'm having with these characters now. It's a different time. So if you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thank you very much for watching, and please have a fantastic day.